the seat you got 4, they're either nuts or bolts depending on the location. And of course Chevy couldn't use normal ones, they got these weird star pattern ones, so you got to get a special tool to remove them. But there's basically one there, there's one underneath that plastic cap, and then there's 2 in the rear. So you can see how that connects. I have the seat all the way back, and then so both of the front ones are E20 nuts. You probably will need a deeper E20 socket to get the one closest to the door. I was able to get it out, but they really don't want you to be able to get to it unless you have the exact tool. This is the back side. You've got a bolt there, and underneath that plastic is another bolt. Plastic very loosely attached, as you can see, and there's the bolt there. Alright, so the rear ones are E16 size, and they're bolts, not nuts. You remove the bolts and kind of push up on the seat, and you'll find the electrical connectors under there. Just disconnect them, and then the seat will be real easy to remove. So there's the disconnected electrical connectors that went onto there, and now it's just a matter of lifting the seat out of the car. Do it carefully, don't hurt your back. If you're not strong enough to lift the seat by yourself, then obviously get a helper. Main thing when you're removing the seat, just take your time and be very careful, because these edges are sharp and you will scratch your paint if you're not careful. With the seat out, I usually like to vacuum. Not very often that you're able to have this easy of access to vacuum. You've seen some of my other videos, you know, when in doubt, I like to thread things back where they came from so they don't get lost and they don't get mixed up. So you see I've just very loosely threaded that, and that back on. That way I know where they're at. They won't get vacuumed up, they won't get lost. Installing the seat is the reverse of the removal process. I've already done the heavy lifting. That's why I'm out of breath. Pick it up, like I said, carefully guide it back into the car so you don't scratch anything. These end pieces can be notorious for catching on things if you're not really careful. Basically line it up as you're putting it back in, so the front where there's the post coming up, you know, line that up so that the holes go in there, and then the back has just one post coming out to line up, and then you just put the bolts back in. But before you start bolting it in, you need to reconnect the electrical, which that just clips on there, and then the other piece also just clips on there, and it has a little lock tab on there. So it's a two-hand job, so I put the camera down. Hopefully you can see what I'm doing here. So normally those will snap together and you'll hear a click. I'm not hearing that on either one of these. The yellow one looks like it's maybe just grounds or something. It's got a metal clip on the bottom that slides over this metal bracket here. Doesn't actually connect to anything. I don't know what it's looking for or what it's doing. This one's obviously your power seat. So I'm just going to start hand threading these bolts in and then torque them down. I'm just going to torque those down until they're tight, and then we'll replace the plastic caps, slide the seat all the way back, and replace the nuts in the front. Alright, the bolts are torqued down. This plastic cap appears to be a either or. There doesn't appear to be a front or back to it, and it just fits right over that and clicks down onto it. And then this side one here, you see it has a spot to go over and under, so it goes like that. So if you put your seat in right, it will now slide back. Which exposes the bolts in the front and allows you to put the nuts on them and torque those down. They're not super easy to get to, particularly the one on the closest to the door. So I'm going to use the needle nose pliers to kind of line it up, and I'll do that off camera. Once I've got it started to thread, then I'll use the wrench to torque it down. So I've got it started finger tight, and then like I said, I'll just use the wrench to finish torquing it in. And I'll tell you, this is the only place I've ever run across where I would need a deep E20. So I have been reluctant to buy one because I don't take the seat out very often, but I may have to invest in one if I'm going to be doing a lot more handy dad videos.